After 35 long years, the tides of interstellar power have shifted dramatically. The Earth Alliance, once beleaguered and forced to concede its outer colonies and planetary holdings, has now reclaimed its place among the stars. The reclamation of the Alliance's conquered planets marks not just a military victory, but a profound change in the balance of galactic authority. For decades, the shadow of the Galactic Council loomed over humanity's hopes for autonomy and progress. Now, with the Earth Alliance regaining control, the Milky Way faces a new era, defined not by oppression, but by unity, resilience, and the promise of shared destiny. This remarkable reversal did not come about overnight. For years, clandestine efforts were underway, far from the prying eyes of the Council's vast surveillance networks. The pivotal moment in this journey came on the icy surface of Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon, where representatives of the Earth Alliance met with members of the Intergalactic Confederation. This coalition, comprising some of the most advanced extraterrestrial civilizations known, had long been wary of the Galactic Council's ambitions. The Ganymede meetings, initiated in October 2021, were historic in their scope and secrecy. It was here that strategies were forged, alliances cemented, and a blueprint for galactic defense was laid out. At the heart of the conflict lay the Dark Alliance, a shadowy conglomerate of malevolent extraterrestrial forces allied with the Galactic Council. Their influence stretched across dozens of worlds, employing subterfuge, coercion, and outright warfare to expand their reach. For Earth, the Dark Alliance represented not just an existential threat, but a challenge to the very ideals of freedom and self-determination. The Earth Alliance, recognizing the magnitude of the danger, understood that victory would require more than just military might. It would demand unprecedented cooperation, technological innovation, and the unwavering spirit of its people. The first step toward reclaiming the lost worlds involved severing the Dark Alliance's grip on key strategic outposts. Through a combination of cyber warfare, sabotage, and targeted strikes, Earth Alliance operatives neutralized enemy command centers, disrupted supply lines, and fomented uprisings among oppressed planetary populations. These efforts were supported by an increasingly bold intergalactic confederation whose advanced technologies and intelligence networks proved invaluable. The liberation of each planet became a rallying cry, inspiring resistance movements and rekindling hope in the hearts of millions. As the campaign progressed, it became clear that the old paradigms of interstellar conflict were shifting. The Earth Alliance's famed Solar Warden Initiative, which had defended Earth from extraterrestrial threats since the 1950s, was disbanded in August 2023. This decision, announced by Thor Hahn, a prominent figure within the Alliance, signaled a move away from secretive, unilateral defense programs toward a more open and collaborative framework. No longer would Earth stand alone against the darkness. Instead, it would become a pillar of a new galactic order, working in concert with the Galactic Federation and other associations for mutual security and prosperity. This transformation culminated in the formation of the Federated Fleet, a remarkable coalition of spacefaring nations and civilizations united under a common banner. The Federated Fleet was not merely a military alliance, but a symbol of hope, a testament to what could be achieved when old enmities were set aside in pursuit of a greater good. The Artemis Accords of 2020, which laid the groundwork for peaceful exploration and resource sharing, served as the foundation for this new interstellar federation. With the Alliance's reclaimed worlds now free from Council control, These planets became active participants in the Federated Fleet, contributing their unique cultures, technologies, and aspirations to the collective endeavor. Liberation, however, came at a cost. Many worlds bore the scars of decades under Council rule. Infrastructure lay in ruins, ecosystems had been strained or worse, and populations had endured years of hardship and uncertainty. The Earth Alliance, mindful of these challenges, launched a comprehensive reconstruction initiative. Teams of engineers, diplomats, and humanitarian workers fanned out across the liberated territories, partnering with local leaders to rebuild cities, restore environmental balance, and foster economic renewal. The guiding principle was clear. True victory required not just the expulsion of the oppressors, but the restoration of dignity, opportunity, and hope for all. In the aftermath of the Council's retreat, there were moments of both triumph and reckoning. On one world, a once proud metropolis celebrated its first day of freedom with parades and public gatherings, children waving banners emblazoned with the Alliance's emblem. On another, survivors gathered at memorials to honor those who had fallen in the struggle for liberation. The process of healing and reconciliation would be long, but a sense of shared purpose pervaded every effort. As Earth and its allies moved forward, the memory of the Council's occupation served as a powerful reminder of what was at stake. The Council, having overreached in its quest for dominance, now found itself isolated and diminished. Its remaining loyalists, scattered and disorganized, posed little threat compared to the unified force of the Federated Fleet. Still, vigilance remained the watchword. The lessons of the past, about the dangers of unchecked ambition, the importance of cooperation, and the resilience of the human spirit, would guide the Alliance as it navigated the complexities of the new galactic order. The shift from isolation to integration was not without its challenges. Earth's inclusion in the broader interstellar community meant adapting to unfamiliar customs, negotiating complex treaties, and embracing new technologies. Cultural exchanges flourished, with artists, scientists, and students traveling between worlds to share knowledge and forge bonds of understanding. Trade routes opened, bringing exotic goods and new opportunities, while joint research initiatives propelled advances in medicine, energy, and exploration. The once distant dream of a united galaxy now seemed within reach. The story of the Earth Alliance's resurgence became legend, a tale retold in classrooms, at family gatherings, and on the grand stages of interstellar summits. It was a story of perseverance against overwhelming odds, of alliances formed in the crucible of adversity, and of a future shaped by the choices of countless individuals. At its heart was the belief that, no matter how dark the night, the light of hope could never be extinguished. The new era brought with it a renewed sense of purpose. With the Council's influence waning, the Federated Fleet turned its attention to the vast, uncharted reaches of the galaxy. Exploratory missions ventured beyond familiar star systems, seeking out new worlds and potential allies. Scientific expeditions uncovered lost civilizations and ancient secrets, expanding the collective knowledge of the Alliance. Where once there had been fear and suspicion, now there was curiosity and optimism. Across the reclaimed planets, communities rebuilt not just their homes, but their identities. Freed from the constraints of Council doctrine, cultures flourished in ways both familiar and new. Ancient traditions were revived, blending with the innovations of the present to create vibrant, dynamic societies. Festivals and rituals marked the passage of seasons, while interplanetary broadcasts connected families separated by light years. The sense of isolation that had once pervaded the outer colonies was replaced by a powerful feeling of belonging. Yet, the Alliance remained ever mindful of the fragility of peace. The scars of occupation lingered, manifesting in political tensions, economic disparities, and the psychological wounds of war. The leadership of the Alliance, drawing on the lessons of the past, prioritized transparency, inclusivity, and justice. Truth and reconciliation commissions were established to address grievances, while mechanisms for power sharing and local autonomy ensured that all voices were heard. The goal was clear: to build a society in which the mistakes of the past could never be repeated. The broader galactic community watched these developments with keen interest. Some civilizations, once skeptical of humanity's capacity for unity, now sought to emulate the Alliance's model of collaboration. Others, wary of the shifting balance of power, adopted a wait-and-see approach. For Earth and its allies, the message was unambiguous. The galaxy's future would be defined not by the ambitions of the few, but by the collective will of the many. This new chapter in galactic history was not without its dangers. Rogue elements of the former Dark Alliance, unwilling to accept defeat, launched sporadic attacks on vulnerable worlds. Piracy and smuggling flourished in the lawless fringes of space. The Alliance responded with a combination of vigilance and compassion, offering amnesty to those willing to lay down their arms and pursue peaceful lives. Where force was necessary, it was tempered by a commitment to justice and proportionality. As the years passed, the memory of the Council's occupation faded, replaced by a sense of shared destiny. The Federated Fleet, once a symbol of resistance, became a force for exploration and discovery. New technologies, developed through collaboration between humans and their extraterrestrial allies, opened up unprecedented possibilities. Terraforming projects transformed barren moons into lush habitats, while advances in propulsion enabled journeys to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Education became a cornerstone of the new order. Schools and universities across the Alliance embraced interstellar curricula, teaching students about the histories, languages, and philosophies of dozens of civilizations. Exchange programs allowed young people to study on distant worlds, fostering empathy and understanding. The next generation, unburdened by the traumas of war, grew up with a sense of possibility that their parents could scarcely have imagined. The arts, too, experienced a renaissance. Musicians, writers, and visual artists drew inspiration from the diversity of the Alliance, creating works that celebrated both the uniqueness of each culture and the common threads that bound them together. Interstellar festivals became major events, attracting visitors from across the galaxy. Through these shared experiences, the bonds of unity were strengthened, and the wounds of the past began to heal. The governance of the Alliance evolved to reflect its new reality. The old models, rooted in the necessities of war, gave way to more democratic and participatory systems. Councils and assemblies, composed of representatives from each member world, deliberated on matters of policy and law. Decision-making was guided by principles of fairness, transparency, and respect for diversity. Disputes were resolved through dialogue and negotiation, with the goal of achieving consensus whenever possible. The legacy of the struggle against the Council shaped every aspect of the Alliance's identity. Annual commemorations honored the sacrifices of those who had fought for liberation, while monuments and museums ensured that future generations would never forget the cost of freedom. At the same time, there was a deliberate effort to look forward, to embrace the possibilities of peace, prosperity, and progress. The narrative of Earth's rise from subjugation to leadership resonated far beyond the borders of the Alliance. Civilizations on the galactic periphery, long marginalized by the dominant powers, took inspiration from the Alliance's example. Movements for autonomy and self-determination gained momentum, challenging the old order and demanding a more inclusive and equitable galaxy. The ripple effects of the Alliance's victory were felt in every corner of the Milky Way. Through it all, the spirit of exploration remained undiminished. The Alliance, no longer content to merely defend its territories, set its sights on the unknown. Probes and manned missions ventured into uncharted regions, mapping star systems and cataloging new forms of life. Science and curiosity replaced fear and suspicion as the driving forces of interstellar policy. The story of the Earth Alliance's reclamation of its worlds and its subsequent transformation into a leader of the Federated Fleet is a testament to the indomitable nature of hope and the power of unity. It is a story of overcoming adversity, of forging bonds across cultures and species, and of building a future in which all beings can thrive. As the Alliance looks to the stars, it does so with the knowledge that the challenges ahead will be great, but so too will be the rewards. In the closing reflections of this era, the words of a young student from a newly liberated world capture the essence of what has been achieved. We are no longer alone. Our voices, once silenced, now join in a chorus that echoes across the galaxy. Together, we will build a tomorrow worthy of the dreams that sustained us through the darkest nights. And so, the chapter closes on one of the most tumultuous periods in galactic history, even as a new one begins, written not by conquerors or councils, but by the countless individuals who dared to hope, to fight, and to believe in the promise of a better world. The Earth Alliance, having reclaimed its place among the stars, now stands as both guardian and guide, lighting the way for all who seek freedom, justice, and the boundless possibilities of the universe.